Hello there. So America has spoken, entering a new era for the United States and indeed the world. Donald Trump elected as the next US president. I'm Kevin Owen, live here at RTHQ in Moscow. Welcome then to our special coverage. We've got all the latest on the dramatic aftermath of the race for the White House. Donald Trump declared the winner, signaling an unexpected turnaround and a huge blow to establishment politics. Within the last hour, the Russian leader says Moscow is ready to work with the new US president and will do its part to put relations with Washington very much back on track. And also headlining too, the US election results, the complete opposite then of what most of those polls were predicting. I'm sure you've been following it like me. They foresaw a sweeping victory for Hillary Clinton. Didn't happen, far from it. That's raising questions why the predictions were so far off the mark. And the hashtag TrumpSits taken off on Twitter too, drawing, of course, obvious parallels between Trump's victory and another major anti-establishment vote in the UK earlier in 2016, that big Brexit vote. So then, this historic vote has ended in a fiasco for establishment candidate Hillary Clinton. She didn't even speak last night after a long and hectic campaign. Clinton supporters have been crushed by the news. You can see them here. You can see the pictures, the Democratic HQ. Many voters looking completely devastated, some bursting into tears, in stark contrast, of course, to what's happening over at the Trump HQ, as you'd expect.
Thank you. Thank you very much, everyone. I've just received a call from Secretary Clinton. She congratulated us, it's about us, on our victory. It's time.
Trump speaking earlier this morning. Within the past hour, President Putin's commented on the result. Nikki Aaron was following that for us. Nikki, in fact, Russia, one of the first to congratulate Trump on his win. Take us through what was said.
That's right. President Putin was one of the first heads of state to congratulate Donald Trump on his win in the election. He hasn't wasted any time. He's just been in a ceremony in the past half an hour or so to welcome 19 new ambassadors to Moscow, and he couldn't help but mention the result of the US election once again. He acknowledged how US-Russia relations had taken a nosedive and expressed his willingness to remedy that. Take a listen.
Russia is ready and willing to restore fully fledged relations with the US. We realize this is going to be a tough task, given how they've deteriorated recently. But we are ready to play our part and do our utmost to put our relations back on track.
Now, the Russian leader has said he hopes to address some burning issues that will have a positive effect on global security. He also expressed confidence that these objectives will be achieved. Now, it's no secret that US-Russia relations have taken a nosedive, especially over the past 18 months during this presidential campaigning. And that's mainly because of Hillary Clinton and this blame game she's been playing. She's blamed Russia for hacking DNC emails. She's blamed Russia for working in cahoots with the FBI head and WikiLeaks to dish the dirt on her and humiliate her. And this is something that the mainstream media has regurgitated again and again. And even now the election is over, the mainstream media is still doing it. Even after the results were announced earlier this morning, CNN already blamed Russia for the result.
This is the first election in which an enemy power deliberately and explicitly interfered in our election and got away with it.
So although Trump's victory may be sending shockwaves around the world for a lot of negative reasons, here in Russia it's been taken as a positive, because with Trump at the helm, this means that US-Russia relations will start with a clean slate.
Nikki, thanks for the update there as the ramifications of this big vote continue to make themselves known. So, today's presidential elections have blown many assumptions then about how Americans would vote out of the water. Let's look at the map. For example, the state of Pennsylvania voted Democratic in the past 6 presidential races. That fell into the Republicans' hands this time around. Michigan, too, still hasn't been called, but it's been typically a blue state, but Trump is ahead there still. As you can see, then, a drastic shift in the election forecast. Leading up to the vote, polls were almost 80% certain that Hillary Clinton would take the top job at the White House. And then it all flipped overnight as it turned red, leaving just the Democrat pretty much in the dust. RT's Caleb Mopin has been gauging the mood in New York then in the wake of this, what is, it has to be said, an astonishing result.
It appears that Donald Trump, who campaigned as the anti-establishment candidate, has defeated Hillary Clinton, who was largely perceived by the American public as the kind of incarnation of the political establishment. Let's take a listen to what the mainstream media said about Donald Trump's campaign during the early days.
Donald Trump doesn't make sense.
I continue to believe Mr. Trump will not be president.
This guy is a complete clown, a dangerous clown.
He's gotten the appropriate amount of coverage befitting the seriousness of his candidacy.
Now, let's remember that every poll in the mainstream press predicted that Hillary Clinton would be the winner of tonight's election. It was from the beginning, it was just constantly stated over the last couple of weeks on the mainstream press that Hillary Clinton was leading in the polls. It was going to be a close race, but Hillary Clinton was projected to win. That projection from the mainstream press, from all the major cable news networks, from almost every mainstream newspaper, that seems to have been incorrect. Donald Trump will be the next president of the United States, and millions of people, especially in Rust Belt states like Ohio, Pennsylvania, Michigan, they turned out and voted for Donald Trump. So tonight, when we were in Times Square in the center of Midtown Manhattan, we decided to ask people what they made and what they thought of the fact that it seems like all the projections from the mainstream press got it completely wrong. Here's what they had to say to us. Trust the mainstream media?
No. To be honest, I don't.
They clearly got this completely wrong.
Yeah, they definitely really do. They need to get it together. Like, they need to get it in order.
I mean, the mainstream media was telling us that Clinton had it, and they were wrong. Do you trust the mainstream media?
That's what I'm saying. I don't, and I think this is a huge, and I haven't for a long time, but this is a huge indicator that something is inherently flawed in that system, that informational system. I mean, if you watch MSNBC or you watch ABC or you watch Fox, doesn't matter. What they're playing right now, this game for the last 2 hours, is to keep you online. He won Florida hours ago, but they keep doing projections so you'll watch. This thing's over.
Make America great again. But Willie, well, let's get some thoughts on this now. We'll go live to broadcaster Mary Dejevsky joining us. Hi, Mary. Thanks for your time. Did you see this coming? Are you surprised or not?
I was completely surprised, but at the same time, I have to say that I think I was probably one of the people who took Trump seriously from the beginning, because I've seen these sort of anti-establishment candidates before, and I've watched how they're underestimated and not taken seriously, regardless of whether they win or not. And people say, oh, they don't have any arguments, but actually they do have arguments. And Trump fits into a particular American tradition. You know, not a particular tradition such as Hillary Clinton's tradition, but something else, something a bit older, something a bit more visceral.
Do you think he'll be a one-term president? I mean, this is early days to ask this question. Is he going to be around just one term or more? It's almost too early to answer that, I guess. But give an early punt on it.
Well, I mean, my feeling was that either Clinton or Trump would probably be a one-term president, simply, and this obviously sounds prejudiced in a way, because of their age. You know, they're two of the oldest candidates ever to contest the presidency, and Trump will be 70 when he takes over. Now, Ronald Reagan was, I think, 78 when he finished his second term, but you do sort of think that maybe one term is sufficient. Also, I have to say, when Trump was speaking, when he gave his victory address, it sounded to me, it didn't sound to me like somebody who was being careful because they, as it were already looking towards a second term, which is often what first-term presidents do. They feel much less constrained in the second term. There was nothing of that about Trump, which may be to do with his character, it may be to do with where he's come from, or it may be because he thinks he's got these 4 years and he's going to do absolutely what he wants to do with them.
It's interesting, we hear about the power of mass media. CNN was accused of being the Clinton news network at one point. Didn't seem to have much sway with the people, did it?
No, well, I think, you know, and you were also talking about, you know, the way Russia had this sort of strange role in this campaign. And the thing is that, I mean, that didn't work, did it? I mean, the Clinton campaign was blaming Russia for this, that and the other, and trying to condemn Trump by association with Russia and Putin, and saying that the two were in cahoots, that Russia was interfering and all the rest of it. Now, either American voters thought that other things were more important, or maybe they agreed with Trump that actually there needs to be an improvement in relations and that Trump is the guy to do it.
Talking about why the polls got it so drastically wrong here, we were hearing along the way maybe there were these sort of secret Trump supporters. They weren't going to come out and say it publicly when they were asked by the media or the pollsters, but they were going to tick the Trump box anyway. Do you think that's what happened en masse here?
Well, it's interesting because I was on a programme last night as the first results were coming in, and there was one of the most respected British pollsters on that programme, and he